What's good, y'all? My name is Hawaii Mike, which y'all know me as, but when I take the mask off, I'm Dylan Michael Salmon. And today, on this episode of Mask Off, we are a podcast at the intersection of life, mental health, and hip-hop culture. We got a guest. He goes by the name of DJ Spinna, producer, DJ. If you ain't been to one of his parties, you're missing out on a soulful, changed, life-altering experience. You know, but we're gonna get into it real quick, and we're gonna start with your introduction. They know you as DJ Spinna, but you are?
Vincent Williams, Jr.
Junior, okay.
I am a junior.
Okay, don't forget the juniors. And where you born?
Born in Brooklyn, Crown Heights.
Crown Heights?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so you've been here your whole life?
Pretty much.
All right, so what was family life like?
Ooh, family life. Family life. Family life was really great, especially for the first, I would say, 12 years of my life. My parents migrated from Panama in the late 60s, had me a few years later. I am an early 70s child, and a lot of love in the house, a lot of music in the house. Obviously, a multicultural upbringing, you know, and just being raised in Brooklyn as well, you know. Brooklyn is one of the greatest melting pots in the world.
I mean, New York. We got to give it to New York.
Yeah.
It's everybody's here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And what did your parents do?
So back then, my dad, really for my entire dad's life, he was into cars and fixing cars. He was a body mechanic. And during those years, my mom worked at Chase Bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then where did the musical influence come from?
So it really started with my father's record collection.
Okay.
He was not a musician or an artist by any means, any stretch of the imagination. The most he would do is sing his favorite songs throughout the house, but somehow I gravitated towards those records and they became mine.
Okay. Were you the kid that was like playing did they have like parties at the crib and stuff like that?
Gatherings, you know, family gatherings, birthday parties, you know, all that kind of stuff. Definitely,
So
I was definitely the selector.
You were the selector. And what age did that start at?
Ooh, man, well, as far back as maybe 3, 4, 5 years old. I mean, not the gathering part, but playing records.
Yep.
Playing records.
Yep.
But, you know, the parties and the gatherings, I'd say 6, 7.
Okay, so earlier.
Yeah, pretty early.
All right. And then your father at the time, would he be the one playing the music? And then you started kind of just...
So it's a little more detailed. My uncle, my father's younger brother, had an extensive record collection.
Okay.
And he lived with my grandmother, and that's where most of the family gatherings happened.
Got it.
And you know, it started at with my dad's collection, but then once I got to my uncle's records, it just expanded from there. You know, as far as like the selection and the variety. So that's where I started playing, you know, for family members.
Okay. And did he have actual like equipment? Like
No DJ gear. This is just put a record on.
just a turntable, one at a time?
Yeah, just one at a time, just selecting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I skipped over it. Did you only child?
No, I wasn't the only child.
Oh.
So, you know, I did have a brother who was born 5 years after me. He's no longer with us. And I have a sister, younger sister. I'm the oldest. From my mom. And I have like other siblings outside of the nucleus.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so then 6, 7, you're playing family joints, but y'all just playing off regular turntables. How did the DJing part happen? Because I know you got into it early.
Got into it pretty early. I think I became infatuated with the whole notion of DJ culture and putting two records together. It's a combination of things. It's from my environment, block parties, which was a big thing back in the days, back in Brooklyn. I was the kid that always stood by the DJ and watched everything that was happening, trying to understand the concept of mixing, you know, and this is like during the disco era. This is pre-hip hop.
So what was the first DJ you were looking at? Who do you remember?
Ah, man. There wouldn't be any names that
Nah, that's all good.
You would know. One thing about Panamanians back then were boat rides. We used to throw a lot of boat rides in the summertime, and there was a DJ crew called Salt and Pepper.
Okay.
And they played block parties as well. They were mobile jocks. So those were the first set of DJs that I paid attention to that I can recollect.
Yep.
And then after that, or during that time, I should say, every Brooklyn, almost every other Brooklyn street had some kind of DJ crew.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
And on my block just happened to be a crew called Laser Rock Disco.
Okay.
And those were the guys that I consider my OGs, who I was able to get close to and actually befriend them, years later, and just watched everything as a shorty, just standing by. And then they had the sound system and plugging into the lamp post and the whole night. This is like mid-70s,
Okay.
75, 76, 77. But that happened throughout Brooklyn.
Yep.
So if I was ever visiting a relative during the summer that lived in Fort Greene or wherever, chances are in the summertime there was a block party and I was checking that out. But the other part that I have to talk about is radio. Because radio at the time, the concept of mix shows and DJ-oriented programming, that started during this time, especially during the disco era. So I was glued. I was 100% glued to the radio. And also just as far as like the music that would become part of my DNA. Outside of the mix and DJ culture, Frankie Crocker on WBLS.
So BLS.
100% hands down, major influence. And he influenced DJ culture as well. So
Big time out here.
yeah, big, so it's like a 360. He influenced DJ cultures, and DJs were influenced also by the music that he selected. And he was also venturing into the clubs and seeing what the DJs in the clubs were playing. So all of that stuff, I absorbed it all,
Yeah, but you're young.
Yeah, but
it's not like every kid's doing that. So were you like, you were recording by then, were you?
I had my little tape recorder.
Okay.
I had a small boom box. I had several boom boxes growing up. But there was one box in particular, I don't remember the brand, might have been Sanyo or something like that, but it had one speaker, the FM, AM radio, and a cassette. And that was my companion for a long time, man. And just recorded, on cassette, my favorite jams on the radio until I was able to go buy records.
Okay. So at 11, you started DJing officially? Like that was like when you kind of got into it?
What
age would you
I would
say?
say more 12.
12?
Yeah, 12.
And then
12, 13.
when you say that, is that you have your own equipment by then?
So, no. So what I did was I paired, during those formative years, I paired one of my turntables from home with my uncle's turntable at my grandmother's.
Okay.
And I had a Gemini 2-channel mixer, and that was my starting point. The turntables didn't even match.
Wow.
They weren't even matching turntables. And the beauty in that time was I used to record everything I did. So I have like all of my early practice tapes of me learning how to DJ. Like I still have them from that period.
Wow.
So we're talking
like early 80s.
We're talking like 83, 84.
Okay.
And pause tapes was also a big deal
Yep.
back then too. So I have some tapes with pause tape, edits and stuff like that.
Were you start selling pause tapes too? Were you
No,
that?
we weren't doing that yet. That selling tapes wasn't in my psyche.
Nah, because out here, like pause tapes was probably just shared. Like I'm from California,
Right.
So if you get a pause tape from out there, it was a big deal.
Really, but we're talking like 82,
Yeah,
83 though.
yeah.
That's really early.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like we're recording doing the same things, right? But your mix shows out here playing way different music than we're getting.
That's right.
Out there.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm always curious at those things, like when those things started, because it was a completely different access for us.
Right.
Right. And so what were you playing then? Was it mostly like disco still, or were you getting into?
It was what you would, R&B, and of course, hip hop was up and coming. So I had early hip hop records, the records that still had like disco backing music, Super Rhymes and Rapping and Rocking the House by Funky 4+1 More, Super Spoon and Rap by Spoonie G. Of course, Rapper's Delight. It's one of the first records I ever bought.
Do you remember the first record you bought?
It might have been Rapper's Delight.
Okay.
Yeah, it might have been that. But prior to that, my dad used to take me record shopping. That was the first record That was the first record I bought on my own. Where I, went to the local record store in my neighborhood and bought the record. But prior to that, I have memories of my dad and I going shopping.
That's dope. What stores were you going to?
It was a spot called Bondi's that I remember vividly. The Wiz, downtown Brooklyn. Those spots, locals. And there were other little local spots.
Beat Street? When did Beat Street come about?
Beat Street was a little later. That was like mid-'80s, 84,
Gotcha.
85. Yeah.
What about Spivey's? Anything like, did you go to?
Nah, it's not Spivey's. Burdel's was a spot though.
Okay.
On Nostrand, we used to go there. But there were also little, Brooklyn, Crown Heights especially was loaded with, little Caribbean mom and pop stores. And actually the store that I, went to where I was buying records on my own was a spot called Caribbean Records. And they had like the marijuana paraphernalia in the glass that you would walk in and see, I didn't quite know what that was back then. But they sold everything from, Caribbean music to the latest, hottest record on the radio.
And a dime back here and there?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, bro, when I moved out here, seeing that culture was wild. That whole, buy a tape or buy music, have trees too. But so your parents were super supportive then?
To a degree, yes. To a degree. I mean, at least when I'm a kid, yeah, because that's what I was into, So, but as a profession.
So what did they want you to be for?
Well,
traditional.
I think my dad was heavy into sports. He played, he loved baseball. I was never really a sports dude. I played sports as a kid. He even bought me a dope ass like leather mitten and a fly ass baseball bat. And I never really got into it. He's old school. He comes from that hard work mentality. You got to have a job, and he didn't really understand what I did as a profession till years, like towards the end of his life. And I think what helped was him coming to my events and actually catching the full experience.
Yeah.
My mom supported me with the arts heavily. She definitely encouraged me to attend, middle school that catered to the arts. I went to Philippa Schuyler in Brooklyn and Bushwick. Took several instruments there. At one point I was even in acting class as a kid. She supported me for sure.
Okay, dope.
Yeah. But I say to a degree because again, when you're first getting into this business, you're not, maybe now you are, but back then you weren't making a lot of money in the beginning. You had to hustle, you had to really earn your stripes and, they didn't quite get that.
And it wasn't really an industry like back then, or a lot of examples of success for what you're trying to do where they can relate to it.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
So I went to SUNY Binghamton upstate for higher ed. And once I got back to Brooklyn, once I graduated, after being independent for so long and moving back in with your mom, you're like, I gotta go. Can't really be here. But during those first 6 months, that's when I realized that there's a different mentality with your old school parents that expect you to, go to school, get a job, do the typical 9-to-5 thing, help pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
And
the American thing.
I was in super creative mode. I wasn't trying to hear that. And luckily for me, it took off, my career kind of took off. It incubated during those first 6 months of me coming home from school in '94. And by the time I got my first couple checks, I was gone. I was like, I'm out. I got to move into my spot and be independent. And that's where it all kind of.
So when you say coming home, you graduated from SUNY Binghamton? So you did the 4 years up there.
Did the 4 years.
Were you DJing up there?
100%.
Oh, okay.
100%.
Yeah. So when was your first like actual gig you got paid? Let's go back to that.
Well, I remember doing, I played in a club like right before I went to school. But I would say that whole thing really took off once I got to school, getting paid. Like I survived my way through school playing for all the black fraternal organizations.
Okay, dope. So all the frat parties, all the...
You know, sororities, you know, and it was a lucrative business. Now, you know, I had a couple of jobs. You know, I worked at the Gap in you know, the late 80s before I went to school. That was a really cool job.
Did you get your hustle on there like everybody else?
No comment. I had my stock room connect, you know what I'm saying?
That was the best back in the day, bro. The Gap had the best return policy.
Yeah, the Gap was fly.
We'll leave it at that.
And, you know, I had a couple of jobs in school, but once I left, I never got a job. You know, I just kind of stayed independent.
It was all music.
All music.
Okay. Did you have a plan ever? Would you ever like, this is my North Star, this is where I'm trying to be?
You know, I envisioned myself, my journey with wanting to be an artist and recording and all of that stuff started early. Once hip hop took a stronghold on the youthful culture, I should say, I was immersed, right? And I aspired to be an artist in a group.
Okay.
Very early. So
okay.
My first time going into a recording studio was actually in 1985.
Oh shit. Okay.
Recording demos.
Okay.
I rapped at one point.
Okay. So this is what, 15-ish? 14, 15?
14, yeah.
Okay.
And spent the
So what was your first MC name?
Huh?
What was your first MC?
Woo! Well, I rapped, but I wasn't an MC.
Oh, okay. Well, what was your name? What was your, come
Oh,
on.
man. So my first, I guess I got to go on record, and I have said this in a few interviews, but Dynamite, DJ Dynamite.
Okay.
And I have friends that can verify this.
Okay. They
I've
call you that every once in a while?
When they want to mess with me, you know what I'm saying? They'll be like, yo, Dynamite, you know. But that was my name. And I did record a lot of demos with I had several groups. I had a group called Top Choice 3. Then we were First Class. Then Jig Masters formed. And Jig Masters was actually a 4-man group at one point when we first started. And then it dwindled down to me and Krim, which is where we are now. But that musical journey as an artist started really early.
Okay, so your aspiration originally was to be a rapper?
No, just to be in a group.
Just to be in a group,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I was inspired by like all the, you know, Run DMC and Houdini and...
So who was producing for you guys then?
Me.
You, okay.
I mean, I had the knack of, obviously as a kid, I didn't know how to use any gear, you know, so, but I understood breakbeat culture, you know, rhythms and beats, and, you know, the studio that I went into had the DMX, you know, and, you know, that was the first drum machine I touched, and I had to sit with the engineer and tell him how I wanted the beat to go. Okay. And we programmed the joint. And one of the songs, I remember one of the first songs we did was a joint called Terrorism. And I think it was like after the space shuttle blew up, so we wanted to make, that was back when, you know, artists made records like What People Do for Money and, you know, social awareness, conscious rap. And that was our version of talking about terrorism. And I rapped, my voice was wild high, I hadn't finished puberty yet. And that's one of the reasons why I never pursued MCing and rapping, because I hate my voice. I hate hearing it in playback.
I think a lot of us do, man. I think even successful people don't like their voice, but you know, I think that's the judgmental part of who we are innately as humans for some reason. We just like to judge ourselves and be super critical. But I'm glad that didn't stop you. So production isn't easy, right? So you're telling somebody how to produce. When did you get to the point, and did anybody teach you after that? Like, did you have any?
Not really, man. It was a natural progression just from knowing other beat heads, I should say, coming up at the time, because we didn't really know what producing in hip hop meant for a long period of time. It was really just beats.
Yep.
This was right before sampling, became a major force. But by the time, the whole digging in the crates era of making beats became the focus for East Coast New York hip hop, I was all in, and it's a community, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like a lot of us, we all chopped it up with each other and shared knowledge of records and records to look for that had drum breaks on it and loops, and this is like, Native Tongue era, early Pete Rock era, early DITC, Lord Finesse Diamond D,
Yep.
that whole movement. The record shows, the Roosevelt, hitting your relatives. Well, it really started with relatives, right? Just raiding all your cousins and your aunties and going through their record stashes and just trying to find out like what you can make doubles. Like if I had, like even when I was like learning how to do this thing at my uncle's crib, if I had like Rufus Thomas' Funky Penguin, one copy, I used to steal his records just to make doubles. I would take my father's copy, go to his house, find his copy, and now I have two copies. So that's what we did. We just made do with whatever we could,
I mean, that's how we're super resourceful like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's the essence of who we are. Is taking something and then creating something new with what we have in front of us. Like, that's the beauty to me of this culture. Why I think we've gotten so far, and why we're so powerful is because it's constant creation and just utilizing the resources that we have.
Correct.
Right? Nowadays, I feel like people are like, oh, I need everything to be perfect and this and that. And it's like, nah, you just keep going. And then through that evolution, who knows what beauty is going to come out of that. But if you're waiting for the perfect moment,
there's no perfect
there
moment.
is no perfect moment. You know what I'm saying? You got to create that just by going and going. But also at the same time, it's like a lot of us need people to show us, right, what to do and how to do it in order for us to get comfortable. So taking that initiative and just doing it on your own and figuring that out, like not everybody has that.
That's true. But also what helped was knowledgeable engineers. One of the greatest studios ever for hip hop was a spot called Firehouse Recording Studio. And that's where actually even during school, like while I was in college, I would come home on weekends to hit the studio and record demos. I could record demos too with my own I had a little 8-track cassette Porter Studio.
Oh, okay.
Where I would record the ideas and then, take it to the real studio, which back then was Firehouse, and that was a legendary spot. That's where Wu-Tang recorded their first record. Master Ace used to be up in there. A lot of people, Audio 2, a bunch of people. But just being in that environment and working with an engineer who was already knowledgeable on how to make those records, you just ask questions if you have ideas. Because I didn't have my own set of I didn't even have production gear for a large period of time. So during those years, I was able to make the ideas happen. But once you get to the studio, I come with the records, loop this part, let's make a beat, program the beat, and the engineer's there to assist and make it sound good.
Were you always kind of naturally confident, or what gave you the confidence to ask the questions?
I think I've always been naturally confident, but also vulnerable in the sense to where I'm not afraid to ask questions and learn. Because it's always a learning process. I'm still learning today. So, but I'm a sponge, just soak it up.
No, a lot of us won't do that though.
Yeah.
They'll sit there, they'll be quiet, they'll not, or because they're embarrassed.
No, you're right. And I know established producers who still rely on going into big studios to get music done, and I'm DIY all day. A lot of the records that I made during the indie rap movement, I produced, mixed all that stuff myself, engineered it all myself. But that came after years of hitting big studios and just trying to get the knowledge, really.
Yeah, like you said, a sponge, absorbing it all.
Right.
Right. What gave you that sponge mentality? Was it somebody, or was it just naturally?
I probably, in hindsight, got that from my dad because he ran his body shops himself. You know, there may have been a short stint where he worked for someone, but especially during the last 30 years of his life, I always knew him to have his own business. Sometimes maybe not run at the greatest level of, you know, expertise, but he was all about self and just being his own boss. So, and I remember even as a kid, so I'm a junior, he has the same name as me, Vincent, and I remember him telling me as a kid, your name means conquering. Vincent, the definition of Vincent is conquering, conqueror. So I guess subconsciously that always stuck with me, you know, and I definitely went through as an artist, went through my perils of years of disappointment, just trying to get on, trying to get signed, you know, made it to unsigned hype, but it still didn't really mean much. Maybe it wasn't our time, but at the end of the day, those were life lessons. Almost had a deal too. Almost had a deal with East West. Had a demo deal. And then East West and Electra merged, and everybody that was handling our project got fired. And at that point, we were like, let's go independent.
Yeah. So what year was that?
This is 95.
95. All right. So that's right when you got out of school then.
Yeah.
So everything was in motion.
Everything was in motion.
And you must have been doing pretty well at the school jams because studio time back then wasn't cheap.
Nah,
the
but of
reels
course,
weren't cheap.
Yeah, but we pulled our resources together too. You know, it was a group effort within the group to get those hours locked in.
All right. So after school, back here, now you're recording. What was the goal at that moment? Like at that point, it was just to get a deal?
Yeah, we were still fishing. You know, we hit pretty much every label. We actually almost got signed to Loud and Profile too. They were very interested, but we didn't really like the situations they were setting up. They were more on the single bass deals, which was cool, but we had a bigger picture in mind. And the record that we dropped first, which was Beyond Real, that was the single that a lot of labels were kind of biting on, but they just wanted to, you know, stick it on the wall and see what happens. Back then, that was the era for that. You know?
Okay. And what gives you your mental fortitude to keep going and keep trying?
Confidence.
Just the confidence?
Confidence.
That was just it. You're
That's
like,
it.
I'm gonna make this happen by hook or crook.
A lot of faith and just confident. I think I've always had that confidence, knowing that I have something to offer.
Did it ever hit a point when you wasn't getting signed? Like, this isn't working?
Well, yeah, as I said, that breaking point was the deal falling through with East West Records, because we literally had a product manager on board. We were discussing the video. We had a release date, and it fell apart. Like at the last minute, it was like, come on, for real? After all this time, so we just made it happen. You know, we pulled our resources together with, shout out to Dwight Willisey, who I went to school with. We basically used his resources as a promo guy, got his list and serviced that record to all the college radio, you know, stations across the country, and it took off. And then Flex played it for like 2 weeks. Dropped the bombs on it and everything. And even prior to that too, so this year, 2025, marks the 30th anniversary of a record called Everybody Bounce. Bounce, 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 everybody just, that was really my breakout. That's my breakout record.
Okay.
Came out before the Jig Masters record.
Okay.
This month, in 1995, January. We're in January right now.
Wow.
Big, because recorded it in the summer with my old DJ crew, Brood Rhythms, that I did all the parties with. And spent the whole summer you know, alongside Jig Masters, we were doing that too on the side, and spent the whole summer in Flatbush at a studio called I&L. I think they were on Cordelia Road, and banged this EP out, and then we connected with Freeze Records.
Oh, wow.
Todd Terry was involved with that label, and we put this record out in the top of that following year, and it took off. It was huge in the clubs. Yeah. Big record, still hear it today.
Still hear it, yeah.
Right? So that was the ultimate confident.
Okay.
Cemented my...
Was that independent too?
Freeze is independent.
Okay.
They had more money than the
But you guys, but they paid for the recording and everything, or you guys were already doing
so
it,
we
right?
already...
You already had that.
We already had it, and then they just cut us an advance check, yeah.
But they did the promotions, marketing, all the other stuff?
Yeah, but you know, because of the samples, it was really an underground record. It was an underground record that came out, but it wasn't an underground record because it blew up.
Blew up. Yeah.
It's just how it was released. You know, it was more on the white label vibe.
Okay. And then Jig Masters is right after that. But that's completely independent now.
Completely independent. Right? So I guess I'm skipping a point. Freeze had put out a compilation. Can't remember the name of it right now, but there's a Jig Masters track on that comp. So that was before our single. And while I'm in school, the year before that, there's a compilation, you might remember this, there was a magazine called Bomb Hip Hop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, San Francisco,
right?
Yeah. Dave Paul.
Jig Masters is on that first comp.
Oh, okay.
So that's really the first, a lot of people don't know this.
What
that's
that?
the first, that's
93-ish? 4?
4.
Okay.
94. So that's where the first Jig Masters record lives, the very first one. That's the very first one.
Okay. And so independent life, walk us through independent life in 95 versus independent life right now. Super easy to distribute, super easy, everything's digital right now. I can get everywhere, the DSC, everything's super easy, and I'm like this.
The main word is saturated.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah.
And I experienced the beginning of that saturation towards the end of the 90s. Mm-hmm. Being independent at one point kind of meant it was kind of counterculture in terms of what was pop. It was on the radio. We were really grassroots movements, community-based as well, because we had radio to support it, we had venues, we had, events, we had New York Poets Cafe, we had Lyricist Lounge, we had all these, small incubator events happening where we could gather and showcase our material. That doesn't really happen now.
Yep.
I can't really say it happens at all. for many factors. There's many reasons why it doesn't really happen. Hip hop, underground hip hop now is way more, it's more accessible. Back then, you had to spend some money.
Oh yeah.
You had to spend some money. You had to press the records. You had to hire.
But that's why I'm saying, like, that's a completely different. You had to get in the studio.
You had to get in the studio. Yeah. You had to have a plan. This is right before the era we're coming out of. Is right before the burst of home studios. So the first thing we did when we got our checks from the record was we went and bought studio gear.
Yeah.
So that began the journey of me being my own assembly line. And, my crib/studio was a revolving door of the best coming through there, including Eminem, including Mos Def, including Pharoah Monch, J Live, Shabam Sadiq, Polyrhythmatics, obviously. A bunch of people, man. Just IG Off and Hazardous, rest in peace. IG Off. We had a label, Beyond Real, and we were trying to make a stamp and put a mark on the scene with my sound and our own crew. But there were several crews, and we all kind of connected and built together. It was friendly competition in a way.
steel sharpens steel,
Yeah.
right? You know, but that journey to get this, it's a lot of risk involved in that, right? A lot of people wouldn't take that risk without, like we talked about before, the confidence, right? And not having that. You know, you had to recoup a lot just to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, and you had to stay on top of that. And as independent, that means actually phone calls when it wasn't just a cell phone, when calls was free, and you know, you was paying for all of that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
all of that stuff goes into it.
Absolutely. And I think the bubble bursted. The bottom fell out when the support started to deplete.
When you say support,
Support of the movement, of the
Okay.
music that was coming out. People always kind of parallel this era to like the raucous era, the raucous movement. So
Yep.
when, you know, I was a raucous artist briefly, and once all of these indie artists and acts started to try to cater to what was happening in the mainstream hip hop world, that's when the bottom fell out. And then there were so many people making records. After a while, it got saturated. So the orders were less from retailers. You know, less records being ordered, too many records, a lot of them not that good. And the bottom fell out, and it was kind of like no more scene really in New York. So it's way different now.
that's when New York started playing Southern music a lot more. That's when everybody was playing everything, and it became.
Yeah. There was a lot of cross collateral musical scenes happening with the
to me,
regions and all of that.
I say that's when hip hop went to college, right?
Explain.
Because it's like in college, that's when everybody kind of like mixes up. You start to meet people from all over the place,
Right.
but you're all in one central place. And before that, like New York, everything really came out of New York.
Correct.
Like you had to come to New York to go to New Music Seminar, to go to this showcase or that showcase, to get on Hot 97, to get, you know what I mean? Like to really get that exposure. And they were very protective of what was played on the radio here. And it was like, but once Flex started dropping bombs on like No Limit and all the other
It
stuff.
became one big playlist, and that's where we are now. That was the beginning of it. Yeah. It was no more regional rap.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, so that's like, you know, you look at college. That's kind of like the maturation. You start to meet all your new friends and become more of your lifelong friends. And I think, like you said, that's where we're at right now. We'll get to the mess of it in a second. But
Right on.
so that's all happening now. And then, what was the kind of transition? I mean, obviously you're still a producer. You're still doing all of that. But when did you really become like the DJ we know?
I think that really started happening once I ventured off into doing theme-based parties. So this very venue we're sitting in right now, 2 steps down, was a place where I started humbly servicing the community, the Brooklyn community, with monthly parties, and from there it just grew.
Yep.
From there it just grew, and you know, the wonderful parties, which is the Stevie Wonder theme party, the Michael Jackson and Prince Soul Slam parties, which happened, they started in the early 2000s. So this is like really right after all that indie rap stuff,
Yep.
you know, fell apart.
Yeah, so
And also, I didn't put myself in a box musically. So even outside the theme parties, you know, I come from the era of party rocking. So there was a point in time where I could hang with the best of them, in my opinion, who party rocked, who played all the hottest records. But at some point, I wasn't feeling too much of the mainstream party music as it pertains to like hip hop and R&B.
got it.
There was some good stuff, but a lot of it just felt like pulling the okie doke on me. After all this crazy stuff that I just did, all this whole movement that I was a part of that was so progressive, you giving us the okie doke on the radio with these watered down, what's supposed to be, what I thought was supposed to be good hip hop records. It was like, what is this? You know, and it was too much of it. And I like to be able to expose people to new music. And I think that was part of it too, because I was playing at a spot called Spy Bar And I was in the midst of the transition because I could play cool things in the beginning, and as the party heats up, you play the records that are hot, that people want to hear. But then after a while, I started getting requests for the same records every week of things that they were hearing on the radio already. That was the beginning of that. And I was like, I can't compromise my soul to cater to this environment. You know what I'm saying? I could do it, but will I have fun? Probably not.
So integrity matters.
Integrity matters, 100%.
And I'm happy you said soul, because I always say like your, I don't always say about your parties, but in general, like when I go to your parties, you see people dancing. There's a few of y'all, like Rich Medina. You have a soulful experience. Like you feel that energy, right? And sometimes, like I feel like, well, a lot of the times DJs are just supposed to play for the crowd, right?
Right.
But a lot of times the best DJs don't play for the crowd. They play for themselves, and the crowd just happens to love it, right? Like that, and that's what I think how art should be.
There's a balance.
Right? I think art, and DJing is 1000% in art, right? But art should be for yourself.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And if that creativity brings and gathers more people, then that's something that resonates with a lot more people. That's great, but you should never compromise your soul.
Well, here's the thing with that we didn't talk about just yet. I'm a club kid. And I went to the Paradise Garage as a 16-year-old.
Okay.
As a 16-year-old. I was in the garage as a teen.
And that's Levant, right?
Larry Levan.
Larry Levan.
And once you experience that setting, even for me who went super late, the year it closed, just understanding the music and the energy, because the stuff he plays was stuff that I listened to as a kid growing up, you know, when I was aspiring to be a DJ. So to finally hear it on the best sound system in the world, one of the best DJs in the world, in an environment with a bunch of people that respond to music based purely on soul and emotion, that set the tone for my entire DJ career. And prior to that, it was roller skating at Empire Roller Skating Rink as a shorty, as a kid, like 8, 9, 10 years old, going to the rink. Even though we're not dancing per se, but the music is relative to what I heard Larry Levan play.
And who were you going with at that age?
I mean, the rink was community, man. You could go with your family.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't here, so I always ask that. Like, and so many different people have different perspectives. Like, I was with, I was up in Niagara Falls. And I was with the driver. They used to do security at the rink at Empire. And he was telling me about it. He's like, so his perspective was just always fights.
Oh yeah, well that was
you,
later.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was like, it was just always madness in there. And I just remember fights. Everybody was testing us and this, that. So it's always like all these different perspectives. And you know, you hear the people that actually DJ there. You hear people that went as older. Then you hear kids.
Right.
You know,
No, I'm talking like when it was still about peace, love, and unity before all of that other element came in, and it was hardly no hip hop records out. That's the era I'm talking about. When Bounce Rock Skate Roll was a brand new record, that's when I went. When Good Times was hot in the streets, that's when I went.
And then what about the house music influence? 'Cause I know is that Larry Levan also?
Larry, yes, but house music is just an extension of what disco was.
Yep.
You know, which is what inspired me to DJ in the first place. But I was a club kid. You know, I went to like Sound Factory, Red Zone, Mars, all the spots that were hot, you know, in the like 88, 89, 90, like during the, like right before I went to school, I was in the clubs. So just being in the club environment and listening to DJs play back then, you understand the dynamics of crowd control, telling a story, the response to music, because people are there to dance, they're dancing. This is way before social media and mobile phones and all that stuff. You had to connect with your it was a congregation of people that are like-minded who are there for the same purpose. So that always stuck with me as a DJ, and I still look for that today. So the era that came in where it's about popping bottles and other things, that's cool, but that's not really...
It killed the party.
That's not my vibe, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I could have been that person. It's in me to do that, but it's not in me to do it.
Nah, it's like, but that's why I said, like, I like that you brought up soul, right, and integrity, like, and to be able to stand by those things, and because again, it can be easy. You can just play music, get money, paid, and leave.
Correct.
But that shit doesn't. You're not fulfilled.
Right. So another thing too is, man, when I started traveling and going overseas, that was an eye opener for me too, because it made me realize that other parts of the world don't experience music the same way that we do here.
Yep.
In a lot of cases, they dig even deeper. They study the music, they study the history, they know B-sides, they know album cuts, they celebrate those records, and a lot of those cuts have started whole movements. Like the jazz funk scene in the UK is one of the most amazing scenes I've ever witnessed. When you have like black people, well, all races really, but mainly black people championing jazz and dancing their asses off to like a straight ahead jazz record. So, and in Japan, once I got to Japan, that was like a whole other thing, because going digging out there, you realize that they probably know more about American music than we do.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting what you do travel. Like, we're so hesitant to love who we are and what we do for fear of feeling vulnerable or weird. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They really take the time, especially like Japan. It's like people feel like, oh, they're just emulating us, they're just doing this and that. No, they actually really care that much, and they get so immersed into the culture, they just want to be a part of it. And I think we take those things for granted. Like,
we do. I have played several events, several parties in Japan where they're like 13, 14, 15 hours straight, and no one leaves the dance floor. I never get to do that here.
Yeah, it's rare.
And the response I get is a loving, truthfully, like, heartfelt response. There's no fake anything about it. It's like they're there with you. They're really there.
And they're so grateful.
Very
They're
grateful.
like, yo, bro, you're here playing for us.
Yeah.
Like, what can we do for you?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
And they respond to the intricacies of recordings, like a breakdown or a horn riff, or a singer belting out a loud note, or whatever the case may be. If it's presented to them in a very unique way, you're going to get a response.
But I would say, like, your Stevie Wonderful parties and those parties are pretty close to that.
Oh, no,
you know what
they
I'm
are
saying?
that.
Like,
it's church,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I do it,
But it's for you.
It's for everybody.
I know, but I'm saying
But it's for my soul too.
I'm saying, I
100%.
know you do that for you, and that's what I'm saying. It's
Yes.
like, it's that feeling of, this is what makes me feel good, and if I can share this with other people, and they feel that same thing, that same connection, then that shit's real. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
I mean, ultimately, I think these events are really, they're healing, right? And it keeps people connected to themselves. And it makes you aware of the higher power that exists, because it's spiritual,
Yeah.
right? And the music, Prince, Michael, Stevie, that's where they emanate from. That's where that's the core of their existence. So all I'm trying to be is a conduit at the end of the day, and have everybody gather to get that reciprocal communication going between me and them and the music, and everybody's one. Because it's easy to lose yourself out here, and the way club land has evolved over time, especially now with social media. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But people are not connected to the music anymore.
No, they're connected to the being seen part. And you're not here and I'm here and all of these things. And it's like, I always think about now, like when people go to see a DJ, they stare at the DJ and they film it. And I'm like, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be dancing. The DJ wants you to dance. The DJ, connection. The connection to the DJ isn't saying, oh, I saw them, I tagged them. The connection is the vibration. I feel this energy and this frequency, and that makes me want to dance. And you know what I'm saying? Because we live, especially in this time, we live so far out of ourselves. We chase happiness and external sources, and and you give them a moment to lose themselves in being present.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and being vulnerable and dancing, just letting go. Like, one thing that I learned during the pandemic, I say this all the time, is I wish we could meet each other with our eyes closed. Like, because when you're in those spaces, or any kind of space with your eyes closed, all you feel is the energy, right? And our eyes tend to tell us these different stories about past experiences or other people's experiences through their eyes and how we should, relate to other people. And I think we should relate to people through energy.
Yeah,
because that's how we're connected.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
And
you shouldn't have any interference.
Yeah, and that DJ is the spiritual director of that vibration and that energy. Like you said, it's church, right? Mm-hmm. But we don't all share the same religions, the same beliefs, or other things.
And that never mattered back in the days.
No, and it shouldn't matter even today, and I don't think it matters at your events that you do, right? Because you have that intention of creating this container, and you give the direction, this is how you're supposed to act. This, when you come here, you're gonna do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're not standing against the wall. Don't come here to do that. Don't come here to just film people. Don't do that. You're coming to dance. You're coming to let loose. You're coming to feel, this orchestration of vibes.
And the key word also is love. Because I think that's another ingredient that's been missing.
Yes.
For a long time.
Yes.
And we need more of that now more than ever, man, because there's a lot of division, there's a lot of this divisiveness happening all over the place in many different facets of our life. Yeah. And the music and gathering in that way is supposed to be the one thing where we should be able to forget about all of that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? For those hours, just forget about what makes us different.
I mean, but what makes us different is so minute, right? What makes us different is the programming that they instill in us and tell us how different we are.
Right.
And then we perpetuate that in how we act and how we,
as a DJ, it's really disheartening. I mean, I look at this so deeply, but it's really a reflection of where people are and society is. When we see what's happening on the dance floor today, even something as simple as watching old Soul Train episodes, right, from the 70s. Mm-hmm. If you look at Soul Train from the time it started all the way up until the time it ended, you see everyone moving in unison. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And as the years progress, even through the disco era, definitely through the New Jack Swing, 90s era and all of that, it's like individual pockets. Everybody's in their own sphere. There's, everybody's gone their own separate ways, their own movements. Mm-hmm. But watching that first decade, or the first 5 years of that first decade, I should say, it warms my heart, man, because it just feels like everybody has one goal. Mm. Even the artists that are performing, the music that's being made, the messages that are being sent, and we've gotten so far, musically so far away from that. Mm-hmm. And then there's normalization of it because, the generations coming up now, unfortunately, and it's not their fault, but they don't understand what a real party is supposed to feel like. The people throwing the parties don't understand what a real party is supposed to feel like. So this new way of congregating is so skewed, but it's normalized because the bottom fell out. So me keeping these events going is always a way to like reestablish that. Even if if you don't have the years of experience of that, you're gonna learn and recalibrate. And for the heads that have been experiencing it, it's just nostalgic for them, and it keeps you vested. It keeps you coming back because you want that feeling again, because you can't really get it.
Well, it's hard to get it because part of that feeling is the reciprocation of the energy, right? It's weird if you're the only ones in that party dancing.
Right.
And I see that happen all the time, where it's like, even here when we'll have events or there's DJs here, people feel uncomfortable kind of dancing because not everybody's, I'm like, bro, if you feel it, just go.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we're so hesitant to do that for feeling different or for being the outcast or the outlier, right? Why are you doing that? What's wrong with you, bro? You should be cool. Like,
what's funny about that is one time I had a conversation with Stevie Wonder, and he told me he really appreciates what I'm doing, not necessarily because I'm celebrating him, but he was like, you do these parties, you're doing Michael, you're doing Prince. He said, I'm fearless. He said it's a very fearless act, and I had to think about that. Because I guess in a way, it's so out of the norm, it takes a lot of guts to even have the audacity to create these environments in a time where people are so far removed from the concept or the idea of unifying in that way.
Yeah. And it's like we're scared to be different when that's what we're supposed to be, right?
Right.
The difference between us, like I said, is very minute, but that difference to me is our gifts, right? And that gift usually comes from love, like loving yourself first enough to be your own person.
It's reminding me of hip hop in the beginning.
But that's...
when everybody back then, it was cool to be yourself.
Yeah, when you wanted to be yourself.
Biting was...
Oh, you called your homies out, like what? Nah, bro.
Just couldn't go down. Like even signing artists, you had to be unique. You had to, like labels, A&Rs, like what makes you different from the next group. You know what I mean? And now it's like everybody's the same. It's like it's backwards.
You know what really messed that up to me is the internet, right? Like the advent of the internet homogenized so many things and made it accessible without effort. And the effort is what I think really made the differences within us shine, right? Like, buying sneakers, I would know what sneakers my friends had. I'm like, I'm not buying those, this homie has those, so I'm gonna buy these that you don't have. So we could all be fly, but it's our own fly. Like it's still within the space and in the world of, but then you also might accessorize it with some shit that you took from your parents' closet or something that they had no clue. Like even we were talking about B Street earlier, seeing, I forget who, I think it was Kuriaki or whatever, had the goggles. I'm like, he's nowhere near skiing anywhere. But you got goggles on and, and it makes sense. And, or the permanent creases in jeans. And then now it's about assimilating. And that to me is what the internet created, with this idea of assimilation. Oh, you want to be a part of this culture, this is the uniform to do that. Right? And then it's like, oh, you want to be a successful A&R, this is the music you have to sign. And this is the style of group that needs to go out there. It basically all got commercialized, right? And commodified. But in a way that lost the essence, the love, and the true culture of it.
Correct. Well, when this thing started, we just congregated and did our thing back in the days. There was no industry.
At all.
And in order to commodify it, they had to brand it, label it, sell it, market it, and here we are now. But back then, look, this is a great example of what I'm trying to convey here is we have so many legacy artists making records again, making albums, Light, LL, even like Quick and Cube, and like there's so many artists that are just like, F it. It doesn't have to. Redman, new album is
bro,
crazy.
that's my favorite, right?
Redman albums is sick.
I love where Redman is at right now,
right?
bro.
So it's like, why? They don't. It's not about the bread anymore. It's about the love and the soul and the means, the urge, and to make great art and keep the culture thriving and continuing your legacy. It's all about legacy for these artists. Because obviously we ain't going platinum no more. We ain't selling. It could happen, but at the moment it's not. So,
it's not the same. Yeah, it's
so
much
why
different.
are they doing it? So it's never gonna die, right? But we have to take the power back.
No, for sure. And I think there's a collective movement towards that. And it's like, how do we feel those things, right? Going back to social media or the internet, it's so divisive. Like the internet was said, oh, it's going to connect us to everybody. But it really made people just mad at what other people had that they didn't have. And all this hatred started to spew out of it.
A lot of it is smoke and mirrors and people that have platforms that don't deserve to have platforms, but they become empowered and they are able to garner this following and a whole mess of keyboard warriors and these damn egocentric maniacs just going at each other. It's ridiculous what's going on right now.
But if you step back from it, right? Like I believe us as humans on this planet, we're supposed to be observers, right? And just participants in this universe. You step back from it and watch everything that happens and look at it like a movie or a television show and remove yourself from it. It's a wild place. It's a movie or television show. I don't know if we could actually write it. Like even the pandemic, who would have wrote that? Like nobody could have sold that. There's no way that's happening. Nobody. It's too unbelievable.
It's crazy,
right? Or Trump twice. Like there's no way that's happening. It's too unbelievable. But we get so caught up in oh, this is happening to me. It's not happening to us. It's just happening. And once you remove yourself from that, it's like, well, now I have the ability to choose where I want to put my energy and what I want to focus on, right? And I believe that's definitely what you do in celebration. I like that you always call them celebrations, right? Because you're always celebrating the life or the music or the legacy of these people. Celebration is something we should do every day.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Every day is wake up with gratitude, celebrate the fact that you have another birthday. There's 60, 70,000 people that's not happening for today.
Yeah, I think people are just forgetting how to be human. And it's waging a huge mental and spiritual war within humanity. Removing yourself is definitely key. People should be practicing rituals of just taking, if you must be on social media, it's like take breaks. Because we get so caught up in the divisiveness and the chaos, the love is gone. People are losing their souls on these devices and these platforms, bro. And I just, like you said, you step away, you look at it, there's people going at each other that 15 years ago, you never imagined this stuff happening.
No.
Some of our heroes are just either getting challenged or challenging, and you can look at them differently, and it's messy, bro. It's crazy messy.
But that's why I say that step back is so important, right? Because since organized societies have happened, from Egypt to the Roman Empire to everywhere, it's always been about divide and rule, right?
Divide and conquer.
Divide, right? And in order to do that, you have to keep the people, the population, anxious. You have to keep them worried. You have to keep them fearful. You have to keep them scared. There has to be a scarcity mindset. There has to be all of these things in order to manipulate them and move them around. If we know that narrative, though, and step back from it, now we can kind of move around it, right? It's going to be there because 85, they're always going to follow. The sheeple, the herd is always going to be the herd, right? But how do we now start? And again, it's like what you did, or are doing, or constantly doing, how do we do more of those things? How do we only focus on the people and the things that bring those things together and build more of that, is how I kind of look at it.
I think about that quite often. You know, the pandemic was a true indicator of us really needing to pull together, because you're stripped of all these worldly things that you know you can't take part of, right? Because the world is just different. But not to sound grim, but you know, it may take something drastic to happen for that big reset to happen. Right now, a lot of folks are just immersed in missions that are distractions. A lot of this is just hardcore distractions, as you said, just ways to pit us against each other, which takes us further and further and further away from the common goal of being unified.
And I think, to me, that's kind of, you know, the beauty of what hip hop did, right? Was it's the intersectionalities and the common struggles. That's why the whole ethnicity thing is so wild, because, like we were talking about before, unity is our capital. That's our strength. If we could unify through the energy of the culture, not how we look or where we're from, it changes the whole dynamic.
Right.
Right. And hip hop, to me, gives us that opportunity to do that. But we have, again, I think we have to figure out how do we do this intentionally and do it with the people where it actually resonates, right? Because I think also what we try to do, especially on these platforms now, is try to change people's minds. That's not our job. No. Our job is never to change people's minds. Our job is never to tell people what to do, how to live, to do all this. It's to show by example, right? And unity will always be there, but we try to unify with the people that are resistant.
Right. Well, you know, at the end of the day, listen, my opinion on this is, let's take hip hop out of the equation just for a minute. Who are you as a person? Because if your life goals don't line up with being human and practicing qualities of a decent, freaking human being, then any organization you get down with, it's just not, the end result is not going to be what it's supposed to be, because you as a person, you don't have it in you, right? So within hip hop, it's supposed to be about unity, but if you're not about unity yourself, then how is that going to work?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So it's like, we got to focus on the ones that are in that space. And like, so even when I'm building with Fly Private Social, I can't worry about the I can'ts.
Right.
I want to talk to the people that think about what if.
Man, this is just reminding me of like being freed from during the slave trade. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got snitchers, you got people that are gonna snitch, and then you got those that are for the struggle. Who you rocking with?
And then you got those people that are gonna dance.
Yeah.
That's why I look at the Louis Vuitton thing, right? Louis Vuitton is literally a house. That was what was on the plantation. Was a house, right? They're a fashion house. And you know, you think about with slavery, if it was all of a sudden ended and they said come into the house, they're burning that house down.
Right.
They're not going in there dancing around, having parties, bringing all their friends, showing them all the fly shit. No, they're burning that shit down. Let's start some shit over here.
Yeah.
But we're running into the house right now and dancing around and so excited about it. And I'm like, y'all don't see yourselves in there? Like, nobody, there's no mirrors in Louis Vuitton anywhere. Like, there's gotta be a mirror somewhere, right? And then we're validating the shit that they tried to take away from us. They're validating our creativity. Like, by doing the Air Force Ones with Nike, when they were trying to send cease and desist the whole time, to me, it's validating them. It's giving them all that. Then Pharrell does Timberland, same thing. We're validating them. Why? When they never wanted us. So it goes back to that thing. When are we going to see if they need us? We don't need them. We need us.
We gotta help ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are 100% facts. But you know, again, it's all about what you place value in. At the end of the day, you know, the reason why society is the way it is and why people are so messed up is because the American dream ain't really, you know, all it's chalked up to be.
Oh no, the American dream is a story, a facade. The American
Right.
dream is a distraction.
We live in a capitalist society.
Yes.
A lot of people are gonna align themselves with that. We need money, we gotta survive, but it's kind of like, where's the cap?
Yep.
What do you know, what's really making you happy at the end of the day? Look, we have these, we got these fires burning right now, right? We have whole communities wiped out. There's a lot of people going through it. They have to reset their lives. You know, materials, it doesn't really mean anything.
No, it's not real. And that's what I'm saying. So that'll take to values, right? How do you figure out what your values are, and then how do you withhold those values? Is it spirituality? Is it religion? Is it other things? Like, how do you get there and stay there?
Right. Yeah, it's a lot to it's a lot to consume and think about, but you know, again, it's all about your life perspective and what what makes you comfortable as a human being. Some people just strive for so much, and they're trying to live the standard that they're not really able to keep up with. And that's where all these sacrifices come in, where you start compromising your soul and your integrity. And then you got all these people on the outside looking in, buying into it, thinking that that's what they should aspire to do and be. But again, it's smoke and mirrors, but it's sheep leading sheep, and it's, so, it's all about, we gotta reset. We just have to reset as the human species right now.
But how do we do that? Because I feel like the pandemic was definitely an opportunity for that. I mean, shit, 9/11 was an opportunity for that here, especially
Right.
for us here in New York. I think the pandemic was an opportunity for that. These LA fires and things of that nature are an opportunity for that. But I feel like it's we talk about it for a second, and then after the pandemic, we outside.
Right.
And it was like it never happened.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, life is evolving, the world is evolving, there's changes happening all the time. And, it may take sometimes it takes struggles for people to wake up.
Well, I think that struggle, going back to what we talk about hip hop, is a collective struggle. We all have these collective struggles, right? There's these points where we kind of like those circles in geometry where they intersect. Mm-hmm. That place where they intersect is where we're alike and where we see each other.
Yeah.
Those are the things to me that we got to focus on.
Okay. Well, to that I say, just keep focusing. The ball will grow on its own. You attract like-minded people. Love never dies. And we just got to keep it pushing, man, because that's the only way. What else can we do?
Mm-hmm. Well, how do you stay grounded in all of this then, personally, you?
I know what the goal is. I don't lose sight of it, and, I've always lived a humble life in terms of like what I feel is my end game and what makes me happy. I don't really need much. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as I got my music and my family and, faith in a higher power, because there is a higher power, that's all you really need, man. Like, that's it.
Do you have any daily practices, mindfulness practice, anything you do regularly?
I pray in the morning, I'm always praying. I'm prayerful all throughout the day. But really my practice is just being a good human being, man, at the end of the day. I treat people with respect. I expect the same. And I think that's really it. It's not really that complicated.
I mean, I don't think it is either. Like, I think working on self is probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
Whatever that is that makes you kind of do that on a constant, kind of checking in with yourself. Am I in the right place? Do I feel like I'm in my purpose? Do I feel like I'm on my path?
Right.
And then, for me, it's meditation, a bunch of other things.
Right. So I feel like when I'm playing music, I'm meditating. Mm-hmm. Because I know that I'm creating a space for healing. Yep. When I'm playing music, right? Now, mind you, like, of course I have my ups and downs. Yep. I've had years of therapy dealing with things from my childhood. And that definitely helps, because it gives you a perspective on like how to interact with people, what to accept, what not to accept, how to remove yourself from situations. to keep your own sanity. So all of that is inclusive with self-care, but at the end of the day, again, it's like, it doesn't take much for me to be happy.
How did therapy is an interesting one in our culture. How did you get to therapy?
I got it at a time when I really needed it, not trying to put my whole business out there, but sometimes we need it. Sometimes we reach a breaking point where certain remedies are just Band-Aids, but you got to get to the core of whatever is really bothering you. And I've reached a few points where I needed that. I needed to go more in depth into things that happened, as I was, one major thing I can say is the separation of my parents and how it happened was really hard on me, and ironically it happened when I was like 13, 14 years old, when I was coming of age as a DJ, and it disrupted the process because I was relocated for a year and a half outside of New York. Had to go to Panama for a year and a half and came back. My mom was running, basically.
Yeah.
And when I came back, I had to reacclimate and readjust. But that whole situation was rough. So a lot of that pain lay dormant throughout most of my adult life. And then at one point, I reached a point where I was like, I gotta deal with this internally and externally too.
When that separation was happening, was love kind of felt like it was removed a bit? Or what was love like in that point?
I think my perception of love was distorted because I didn't understand what was going on. It was rough, So I had to for a long time, I had to come to grips with why they separated, the conditions under why they separated. And, it shows up in your relationships too, right? So had to deal with it.
Yeah, we are mirrors and we are reflections.
Yeah, got kids, my wife, got to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, no, I asked that because I feel like you inject love into everything you do now, right? And a lot of the times when we have these real pivotal moments in our life, like these life-altering moments, how we move forward from those and the things we learn, sometimes we don't even know we do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was it feels like when you said that, I'm gonna make sure there's love in everything that I do. Because I don't understand how this love isn't there anymore.
Right.
And now I'm gonna put that everywhere I go.
Therapist?
Huh? Not at all.
but well, yeah, I guess I never really thought about that, right? But maybe that's part of it. And maybe you're hitting it on the head right now. That could be it. You might have just summed up my whole life. You might have just summed it up. I have a really, going back to hip hop, we grew up in these Brooklyn streets. We've seen how crazy it was. We've seen artists come out and reflect their environments over the years, depicting stories and experiences and what have you. But a side of me, a big side of me, always was very precautious when it comes to some of the music that I would play, depicting some of this stuff. Especially knowing where hip hop started and the records that were being made earlier on, right? So I get it. I understand that a big part of the rap community, the hip hop community, is based on reality, reality rap. But as a DJ, I'm still in my peace, love, and unity bag, right? And we partied and we unified to those records, right, for a long period of time. But as an adult now, going back listening to some of these joints, I'm like, and I got kids and girls, I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of rough.
Yeah.
Hard body, karate hard body, karate on the lyrical content side. So I think that's part of the reason why musically I started venturing off into other things. Because at least I still have that. And I know that there's love in this, 100%. And there's nothing else, there's no distractions. You know, but I'm still a Brooklyn kid at heart.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a street kid, but I was
in the streets.
In the streets, right? And I got peoples that was in the streets, and you know, I got relatives that was in hustling and all of that. So I get it, I understand that. But you know, I think part of that, the problem with this element is the industry and the powers that be used a lot of that through line, that language, to perpetuate negativity in the culture.
Yeah, because that's always going to sell.
Right, and then artists, aspiring artists, see that and they're like, that's what I gotta do.
Yeah.
And they follow suit. And now we're at the apex of what started back then. But life imitates art. It shouldn't, but we got fakers, but we got real ones, and it's another mess. And that's why I bring it back to who we are. Who are we as people? It's resetting the humanity, because then your trajectories becomes different. Now, of course, you still have to have the street element, right? But we had street element in the beginning. It was hardcore raps, but we didn't hear. We weren't encouraging.
We weren't literally killing people on records.
Yeah, we weren't doing any of that.
Yeah, it was it was a reflection of our circumstances more so than perpetuating it and over.
Right. So because now there's no gatekeepers and it's just a, free for all on the internet, anybody can make anything and just throw it out there and you can get a following. But, going back to the internet it's just wild. It's a wild place.
I say we focus on the places we want to go, rocking with the people we want to be with. And if I learn something from you today, it's that let's celebrate life through love.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? It's constant like that. A couple more questions. Who is the most pivotal person in your life?
The most pivotal person in my life. That's a good question. Explain pivotal.
Like, what was a person that attributed like a big change in your life, altering, where you might have changed path, and you know what I mean? You might have been looking at something a little bit different, or you might have said, hey, I'm trying to do this way, or maybe there's a...
I'm gonna go on record, and I hope she doesn't kill me, but I'm gonna say my wife. Because I could have been one of those DJs that just kind of stayed, even though I'm all about the love, but she is so community-based. She is so Brooklyn, and she keeps me in Brooklyn, and she keeps me community-based. And I don't think my career or the concept of DJ Spinna as this soulful love DJ guy would have accelerated the way it did. Because she promotes, and she's my partner, not only in life, but with the music and the parties, right?
Yep.
Dude, we started here promoting parties in this space, licking postcard stamps, getting email addresses, not even email, because we weren't even doing emails yet. It was like phone numbers, and addresses. Get the list, get the postcards printed with the flyer, buy the stamps, lick the stamps, mail them out, hit the community party. And from there, it just grew and grew. But she is so Brooklyn, bro. Like, I call her the mayor. Like, when we first started dating, we couldn't go nowhere where people didn't know who she was, especially in the clubs.
Dope.
So I don't want to blow her up because she's like, don't talk about me, you know. But I'm gonna put it on record and say she definitely.
Dope. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kita.
And it
Kita.
goes back to love. But that's
Yeah,
the love,
no doubt,
right?
no
And
doubt.
I think love is something a lot of us feel shame around or embarrassed about, right? Like showing love to your parents in public, remember as a little kid,
Mm-hmm.
or showing love to your friends, telling your friends I love you. Like it's like that should be the first things we think about. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
reinforcing all of that. Another one, who's the most inspiring person in your musical journey?
Stevie Wonder.
I didn't take any.
Hands down, bro. Stevie Wonder.
And what is it?
Ah, man.
How could you sum it up?
You know what? This whole conversation, really, he is the ultimate champion of humanity. So I guess really this lifelong mission that I have of keeping the love vibrations going, who is a better spokesman for that than him? So yes, through his music, but just being around him. I had several opportunities to be with him in intimate spaces, in the studio, at home. He had me open for him. One time I opened for him, he does these events called A Day of Peace at the United Nations, and he had me open.
Wow.
In front of dignitaries from around the world. And this one event, he had Sting, he had Valerie Simpson, he had Stephanie Mills, he had Freddie Jackson, he had Ella May. It was ridiculous, right? This is another time where, and this went viral, where I'm cutting up Funky Drummer and he's behind me at a wonderful party in DC singing I Wish. To me rocking doubles of Funky Drummer. If that doesn't inspire, it makes you, it solidifies you as an artist, DJ, human, the endorsement, that's crazy. Just thinking about it, I'm like, Stevie all day, man.
Yeah, I've only been in a room with him like once, but the aura, the energy is just, it's different.
Yeah, the room pivots when he walks in the room.
For sure.
It pivots. The energy.
Yeah. Everything does. And again, that's how we know we're connected in that way. It's like our eyes have nothing to do with it. You can have your eyes closed, you could be there, you'll feel that person walk into that room.
You have to be open for it to feel it, though.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, last one. DJ Clark Kent, your Panamanian brother. Give us one quick story.
I met Clark in '87. We had a mutual friend that I went to high school with, and one day she's like, I want to take you to my friend's house to meet him because he's a really great DJ. And at the time, he was really I only knew him as Dana Dane's DJ, right? I'm not even sure, I don't even know if he played Union Square yet, at this moment. But I went to his crib thinking I could battle him. Didn't go well. Two bravado Panamanian dudes, Brooklyn dudes. I'm the shorty, he's the OG. He's older than me anyway at the time. And he tore my ass up.
Yeah.
Killed me. And
With love.
With love.
With love.
With love. and he was like, shorty, you should come around. I think he was trying to allude that I could, he could show me some things, but my ego didn't allow it to happen. And back then, I don't care, I love you, Clark, rest in peace to the OG, but he had the biggest ego back then.
Yeah.
And I couldn't take it. So I was like, I'm good. I didn't come around. And then we rekindled our connection throughout the 90s and the 2000s. We got really close, played parties together. I had him play my birthday party at Santos one year. That was crazy. We actually formed a brief DJ crew, briefly, Brooklyn Bandits with me, Kenny Dope, and Scratch. did a couple parties, but we loved each other, man. And it really, it hurts. That one right there, bruh,
Yeah.
that hurts, man, because him being Panamanian, being from Brooklyn, and just watching his trajectory evolve as an artist from being a DJ in a group to rocking the clubs to then being an A&R at labels and signing incredible artists, Das Effects, like so many artists, you know, Jay, etc., and then the remixes. So what I've come to the conclusion of is like, he is probably one of the most important DJ producers who is responsible for the merge of R&B and hip hop. Because in 1990, when he did the Spread My Wings remix for Troop, which became the definitive radio version, right, and the video, he implemented breakbeats, a rap, and that record was monumental.
Man.
And then he just kept going. He kept doing it.
Yep.
So, you know, all the early remixes that he was doing throughout the 90s, you heard hip hop and club essence in all of his work.
Yep.
So he was in the club, he was making records, and then he did the whole new music seminar, the Superman battles and all of that, man. Like, he was a force.
Yeah.
And the stuff he was doing on radio too, when he was on WBLS with Marley and Pete, he was doing stuff on air that nobody ever heard before. He was cutting records up, doing routines, the audacity of him, the way he did it, but he was going absolutely crazy. And you know what? I heard him play at Mars. I heard him play at Club Mars in 1990, and that was also another pivotal moment for me as a DJ, hearing him in a club setting like that, you know, and then getting to know him. He comes with, he's literally a Superman. He's like this Neanderthal, big figure, and his persona, everything about him when he's rocking, he's like, oh, I'm gonna crush this crowd. Like,
he's like Thanos on the turntable.
Yeah, you can't tell him nothing. He's in it. And I feel like I'm that way, I just don't express it that way, you know, persona-wise. You're gonna hear it in the music, but he saw that in me, and we spoke about Larry Levan a lot, you know, because he used to be in the club a lot and tell me about records that he heard. He schooled me. He actually taught me, man. You know, he taught me about records, about music. What a great guy, man. Just a beautiful dude right there.
Yeah, he's one of those people where it's like, I always ask how.
Right.
Like, how were you able to do all of
this
those
stuff
things?
in the sneaker culture, the
everything.
gear, yeah.
And how do you touch and inspire and uplift and celebrate all of these people?
Right. So what I came to the conclusion too with that is his confidence. In his end days, he's like, Spinna, I'm not conceited, man. I'm just very confident in what I do. And you know what? He had the right to be. As boisterous as he was, he could talk that shit because he helped so many people and he gave so many people their props. And then, like, I thought I was special. But when you hear other people talk and they're mirroring what he told you, you're like, oh, this dude was just bearing of his, he let it go. He was outward with it. He wasn't holding, because some dudes have that kind of power. You won't hear it from them.
Oh, no.
They don't spread the love. They don't acknowledge you. They keep it all internal. I experienced that myself. But he didn't live his life that way.
Or they'll do it in a very bravado kind of, I want to be seen and known for that way.
Yes.
He just
did it.
And I'm glad that you said it the way, like you thought I thought I was special, because that's what everybody thought. Like, that's the reoccurring theme with everyone, is I thought it was just me he spoke to like that.
It's
like,
unbelievable.
how did he speak to, and not just like nobodies or just regular, but like all from every kind of walk of life, and this DJ, this artist, this rapper, this singer, this, like, bro, how? Like, how did you,
How did he have the time to do
like,
all of
how
that?
could you physically do that and then go home and take care of the wife the way he did? Like,
Right.
there was nobody more special, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it's just like, it's very inspiring for me to hear these stories and think about that all the time, because, you know, you talk about love, like, that's how you want to live, like, just constantly pouring love, just, you know, and then you get it back, like, without even asking. It just all comes right back. And I think when we start to figure out that's the flow of life, is when we really start to live.
And he was very verbal about that in the last moments of his life, just verbalizing love, especially when it comes to DJing. And he just let it be known, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't really know anybody else of his stature that would do that or has done it. Nobody really talks about that as a DJ. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, man, that's the common denominator, not just with music, but in life. That's really what needs to be reset, you know, reestablished, I should say.
Let's keep doing that. Let's keep giving the love, and let's do it one person at a time, one moment at a time, and let's be the ones to make it happen.
Yes.
Like, ain't nobody can stop us but us, right?
No doubt.
You know? So thank you, bro, for hanging out with me.
Yes, sir. Man, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Taking the mask off and getting to know Vince.
Mask off.
Yeah.